Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me this evening are Kefki
Hello.
and Adam.
Hello.
And of course, as it is a Friday once again, I'm the keeper for this evening, Sanguine. How are both of you doing tonight?
Uh, is it fair to say that I'm um what is it? Eagle balls?
What?
uh
If you are indeed Eagle Balls, then yes, it would be fair to say that you're Eagle Balls.
yeah.
So, I heard Kefki be confused by that particular turn of phrase.
Uh
So,
huh.
That's my Super Saiyan form.
you know
Oh.
how there's people that are just high, right?
Uh-huh.
And then there's people that get high as a giraffe.
Ah.
And then there's people that are soaring so far above the giraffe that they become eagle's balls.
Oh.
Because they are as
Oh.
high as eagle's balls.
Okay. High as a kite,
Yes.
basically. Okay. I got it.
Yep, it's high as a kite by another turn of phrase.
Yeah, a
Ah.
little bit higher than a kite because
But the
kite goes
autocorrect, what
so
did you
far,
do?
but
I
I
tried to
mean,
write hello rotten and autocorrect just said Ron C. I don't know who Ron C is. Hi to
But
you too if
hello,
you're out
Ron
there.
C.
Yeah, hello
Ron
Ron C.
C. We're gonna
Sorry,
have to
Rotten.
hold on. We're gonna have to make a character of Ron C.
Uh,
Ron C. Nasty. I
Eh,
don't know.
what?
I'm gonna write a note.
See, when you said Ron C, all I started thinking about was Ron Burgundy, and it's Ron Burgundy's evil twin.
Come on, that'd be a cool
Because it's
character.
Ron B and Ron C.
Ron
It's
C.
his evil doppelganger.
It's gotta have a mustache too. But yeah, introductions. Yes, I am Adam of Clan Veggie the
You are?
First.
Are you sure about that?
I am sure.
He's a bit
Okay.
Just
amazed by the fact that he has hands and how his hands move at the moment, but he is sure that he is still Adam of Clan Veggie.
the first.
Yes.
My dove gave this name for a reason, so gotta gotta keep it there. Ow.
So apparently, Ron C reminds him of his father. So that just makes me think that Corpse is his surname. And while his father's name is Ron Corpse, his name is
Oh.
Rotten Corpse. They just added that.
Oh. Whoa.
Oh.
Hold on.
Well,
What if it
there
is
you
Rotten Corpse?
go.
That's his
So,
real name.
what letter are you going to be adding for the next generation?
This is
Is it
interesting.
going to
Okay.
be Rot on Corpse, Rotan Corpse, Rotten Corpse, Rot in Corpse?
All right. Take note, people who are currently in charge of WB and Disney. Um, this is called brainstorming, right?
Ah,
This is where you take something and you start throwing ideas out and trying to build something, right?
and you
So
don't just go for the first idea because the first idea is kind of shit most of the time.
and you also don't tether yourself with some arbitrary bullshit like, dude, we gotta have a fucking it has to be a race or a fucking hair length or
Yeah, which
gender or
one
some
of your
bull.
progeny is going to be the first non-white female otherkin of the group? No, we don't do that. We
Oh wait,
just
yeah, the first, yeah. Don't even look at, oh, we gotta hit a milestone or a goalpost. No, just fucking Rotten C. Let's fucking build a character off of this. Ron
yep,
C. His name is Ron Carpenter, and boom, boom. He had
Oh,
two
it's
kids.
Ron
There you
Corpse.
go.
Ron
Yeah,
yeah, Ron
Corpse.
Corpse.
he's fucking
Yeah.
selling window frames, and all of a sudden, Shit went awry, and he became a supervillain called Rotten Corpse. Oh shit! I'm sorry, Rotten Corpse. Rotocorpse.
But yeah, every generation just adds one letter. They try to make it sound somewhat like a name. Until that one family member, there's going to be that one where they add in too many consonants in a row because they're just fucking retarded.
Dude, they have to add. Well, and honestly, I understand when you can't really conjure anything to contribute towards that. And I get you. But at the same end, I mean, you don't have to be destructive with it, just do your part,
Yeah.
add to it, or not. But I don't know. I just don't ever see the negative part of it.
Really, Rotten? That's funny. Oh, that's strange.
Yeah.
That was a mystic typo.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Careful, Kefki's gonna steal your father.
The fate that dictated. Whoa.
Well, mine is dead, so I need to replace. I'm sorry, that got dark. It's how I cope.
She'll steal your father, but make him a daddy instead.
No. That went in the opposite direction of what I was thinking. No.
I know
Oh,
it did.
well, hold on. After watching a
No,
couple
hold
of
on.
after watching a couple of current
It-
videos of Pride Month, I don't know if I'm talking daddy like I'm father figure type depiction, or if it's leather bounding.
The only way that daddy is a father type depiction is when someone is less than like 8 years old.
Oh God, no! Please, Lord.
Wait, really?
Think about how often you hear about someone
Oh.
referred to their daddy and it actually be their paternal father.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
call
go
my
ahead
dad
and
that
mute
all the
until
time.
Okay, you're an exception. Most of the time when someone says, yeah, this is my daddy, they do not mean their
Well,
biological
no, actually,
father.
no. I usually say this is my pop. Actually.
Yep. Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
pop, it would be father, it would be dad, it would be some
Pops.
other term, not
I would say
daddy.
papa a lot. Is that the equivalent of?
Nah, it's different.
Okay, good.
well,
Daddy.
honestly, I mean, I think the
Yeah, I feel
word has
better
just
now.
been tainted recently. Like
It's
just
kind of like how your mom is going to be your mom, your ma, your mama. Shit like
Yeah.
that. Your
Yeah.
mom is
Ma.
not gonna be mommy.
No.
When you
God,
hear
I never
someone
called my
refer,
mother that. Even as a kid, I always called her mama. I never said mommy. And
Yeah.
I got older, I said ma.
when you hear someone refer to a full-grown woman as their mommy,
Mm.
they don't mean their biological mother.
Oh God, yeah.
It's a fairly ironclad rule. If it's north of, like, teen, and they're using the Y at the end of the word, yeah, they're referring to something entirely different.
You usually see milkers after the term of mommy. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Look,
it's always
Rod,
mommy
don't
milkers,
worry.
not mom milkers. That would be fucking creepy.
Mom milkers. Lord.
Yeah, what are you? Okay.
So yeah, Rod, don't worry about that. I ain't interested in nobody that way. It's okay. I don't want to get my butt kicked anyhow, even if I was, so it's alright. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want I don't want a daddy. I don't want a mommy either.
Rotten's response to someone calling him daddy is to call them sport or champ.
Sport or champ. Porter Champ. Come on, Champ.
Oh,
You can
could
do
you
it. You
imagine?
winning yet?
Hold on, could you imagine that? Like you're sitting there and you're trying to get intimate with somebody, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're doing good, champ." What?
No, I would find that fucking hilarious if I'm watching someone try to hit on someone, like desperately, just absolutely
Oh God. Okay.
salivating over this person, and they try
Yeah.
to work in a daddy
Nice.
or mommy in order to attract the person, and the person looks them dead in the eyes and says, "High five, kiddo."
How did
Oh
we
my
get
God.
here? How did we get to this? Didn't we
I just
have
think
news articles?
it would be so. I just pictured, this chick, this really hot chick going, "Oh, daddy," and then Rotten's like, "Hey, champ." It's just funny to me.
High five, kiddo. You know the reason that your mom and I aren't together anymore isn't because of you.
Well, I'm definitely going to church in the morning.
I just love this idea now. Someone that is every time that they're called
You
daddy
know,
or
my mom and
mommy,
dad aren't together anymore.
and they just start actually fathering the shit or mothering the shit out of the person, just giving them the talk, making sure that they know to call them when they get home safe because they worry, you know? And are they eating enough? They look so small. They need to eat more. They need to eat healthier. I'm sorry it took me so long to get the milk, champ. I got lost. My car broke down. I've been trying to find my way back the entire time. And I finally found you. I'm back. Let your mom know I'm here to stay this time.
You're killing me.
You two moved away before I could find my way. I got back home. No one was there. There's someone new living in my house. A new family. I like this idea. I want this to be a character in something. Yeah, absolutely. They look the person up and down. The person is just poured out to the nines, their tits all nice and on display, and they look them in the eyes and say, "Now listen, it's not that I'm angry. I understand everyone dresses this way when they go out for a night on the town. I understand. I'm just
See, it's
disappointed.
funny.
I thought we raised you better than this.
Damn it!
I want this to be a character in something. I don't care what they're in. I just want them to be a character.
Oh God! I'm dead!
It's just such a gloriously tuned out person. It's amazing. I want this character.
I think it would sell very well.
Oh
Yeah.
God! Oh God!
They couldn't be a main character, but they would be just a running gag in the background.
Well, hold on. Can I offer some examples of side characters that stole the show?
Absolutely. And I fucking killed Kefki.
Yeah, she is.
It's also Ron, I was reading and he's like, I just threw some burgers on the grill, champ.
Yep. and Rotten fucking run with that idea. Just the clueless dude getting hit on, and every time just starts going into this long fatherly advice
Oh God,
session.
I need tea.
Get some water.
Oh, what are we talking about?
And you were saying, Adam,
You good?
I think she's still dead.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. What really killed me is the I thought I raised you better than this.
Yeah. I didn't raise you to go out at night to pick up someone looking like a complete whore. No, I raised you proper. You should be meeting a nice boy at the local service.
Oh, okay. Have you ever? Okay. Have you ever heard the term "you smell like a French whore" before?
Yes.
Yes, my dad used to say that all the time whenever I wear any kind of perfume. He goes, "Oh, you look pretty, but you smell like a French whore."
Yep.
I don't understand.
It's when you put too much perfume on.
Okay.
You
Okay.
smell like a French whore? Is
Yeah,
that
Uh-huh.
you smell like a French whore. It was... So, the origin of that comment, if I'm not mistaken, and someone might be able to correct my etymology on this, but if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am, the etymology of it is the same as the stereotype of the French being unwashed.
Oh.
So, it started out during World War II. Because in German-occupied or Nazi-occupied France, a lot of things got rationed rather severely. One of the things that got rationed extremely hard was glycerin. Because glycerin is a vital ingredient to saponification. Saponification is the process by which you make soap.
Oh.
wasn't that a Smashing Pumpkin song?
Glycerin or saponification?
Glycerin.
Probably. But
Sorry.
Look, I think
with-
saponification would be a great name for a band, a metal
so-
band.
saponification is the process by which you react fat with water and typically glycerin in order to produce soap. So when glycerin started to be rationed, because glycerin has another important use when it comes to warfare, glycerin is used to make explosives.
Oh.
Nitroglycerin is a glycerin-based explosive. It's you take glycerin, you react it, you're able to create nitroglycerin.
Wait.
Nitroglycerin, really explosive.
Is there a way that you could make soap explode?
Say again? Oh, is there a way that you can make soap explode?
Yes.
No, the amount of glycerin it is fairly minute. It's consumed in the process.
Well,
but
dang.
Because it can be used in explosives, it ended up being rationed rather severely because of two reasons. First off, Germany needed explosives for the war effort, so they wanted to keep it for that. And secondly, France had the resistance, and the resistance liked blowing shit up. So they could ration glycerin to France, meaning that they would have more glycerin in Germany, which was a good thing, but it also meant that they had less glycerin in order to make explosives with. And when they had less glycerin in order to make explosives with, it meant that they weren't able to blow shit up as much. So it was a win-win rationing glycerin for France. But then it came to a point where the Allies were able to move into occupied France. And what did they find in occupied France? Well, they found a bunch of French people who didn't have reliable access to soap.
About a bunch of French people in France. Hot damn. I'm
And
sorry.
when you don't have reliable access to
And
soap,
what do they find when they ran into France? A whole bunch of Russian people. Holy shit. Who would have
they
thought?
found a bunch of unwashed Frenchmen
See, that's
because they didn't have glycerin to make their soap, so they didn't have soap to take their baths in the most effective way. So you ended up with a bunch of smelly French people.
so.
Which-
It's like what Rotten said. They probably just used too much perfume to cover it up, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So what they would do in order to entice their clientele, they couldn't wash the stink of the day or the stink of their previous work off of them, but what they could do was they could absolutely bathe themselves in perfumes.
No.
So French
Yeah,
whores
but then you're
would
just gonna
smell,
smell worse.
they would smell extremely strongly of whatever perfume they were using.
Hmm.
So
I don't know. I've
that's
been around some people that didn't have very good hygiene, and they wore perfume, and boy, you could smell the bad hygiene mixed in with the perfume. It smelled like a
Oh, yeah.
corpse. Blech.
you end up, rather than smelling like just a shit ton of roses being stuffed up your nose, you smell like roses on shit being stuffed up your nose.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I suppose if you were to act on your animalistic nature, scent shouldn't be an issue. But
Well, the
that's
thing
my
is,
take
if you're
on it.
habituated to that scent, it isn't an issue. If you aren't habituated to that scent, it is a massive issue.
Well, to the person who's, I don't think they have a choice at one of those points. So it's,
Well, no, but if you and someone else have been in the same building and you haven't washed, then at no point will you recognize, or not at no point, but it will take a long ass time before either of you will realize, you know what, you smell. Because the stench builds slowly, the stench builds subtly, so by the time that you actually realize that there's a stench, your body's already been habituated to it, so it's been muting that stench.
I think
Whereas
we are, I think we're
Go ahead.
on different wavelengths. See, I was thinking you were talking about people who were unfortunately put in a negative pathway in that way. So it's like, well, that's really a issue. But
Oh, the thing is that when it came to the Allied soldiers that were moving through Europe, many of which still had access to soap, many of which were still able to bathe, even when they didn't get a chance to bathe in a while, it was that they hadn't bathed in a couple weeks, not that they hadn't bathed in a couple months.
Mm. Oh, Lord.
So it's kind of like how there's the stereotype of the English. They have terrible food. And
they have beans and mushrooms for breakfast. That's awesome.
the English, when you actually have proper pub grub is fucking delicious. And the thing is that a lot of the stereotype of the English, they have terrible cuisine, they have terrible food, avoid eating English food, is again due to the war, because England had rationing that was much worse than the US did. So
Okay,
in
but
the
you-
US, you had
Sorry.
severe rationing, which cut down on the quality of food, but you still had decent food most of the time.
But
In the
look, if we're
UK
talking about the 1940s and stuff, right? Yeah? No?
Yep.
Oh. Okay.
talking
Well,
about
okay.
the war.
The food wasn't that great because they made Jello everything. They would put meat
Oh
in
no,
Jello,
Jello.
and yeah, I've seen some of
And
that stuff.
a
It looks
lot of
terrifying.
so the early Jello-based things were mainly meant to just stretch the food because
Oh.
it's the same way as making a stew. Boiled
Mhm.
meat is not the best way to have meat by any stretch of the imagination.
Mhm.
Because boiled meat, really fucking boring.
Yeah.
But
It also gets real chewy. Well, no, that's not boiled meat, is it? Could get
it,
rubbery in there.
yeah, it can get rubbery depending on how you cook it and depending on the cut of meat. But it
Yeah.
just doesn't taste all that great because it dilutes the flavor. Water is the enemy of flavor. So when you boil meat, it's not terribly appetizing, but what it does do is it turns what would have been a single meal and a very small meal of a 4 ounce cut of meat would not really feed you or fill you up. But a
Mhm.
4 ounce cut of meat and a pot of broth, well, that will fill you. It might not fill you for very long, but it'll fill you for a period of time.
Yeah.
So, with meat rationing, they would come up with ways of stretching the meal, and a lot of that became boiled beef dishes. Because then you would have the boiled beef, not very appetizing, but it's still meat, so it's still something.
Mhm.
It's better than no meat. And you'd have a pot of broth, and you could drink the broth, you could turn the broth into various soups, and you could fill out your meal by doing so.
Oh, a
So
pot of neck
a
bones.
lot
That's good. Sorry.
a lot of the stereotype when it came to English food comes from that rationed period where, yeah, American troops going to England for the first time and trying English food when it's we boiled a bit of beef, a couple potatoes, and some cabbage. That's not going to be good eats.
Mm. Yeah, but you
But
could make a stew,
you can make
right?
a stew, but even with a stew, you'd want more than just those three ingredients because with a stew, you'd want to really strengthen up that liquid. So you'd add in like some wine that you would reduce. You'd add in onions and carrots and maybe a bit of
Whoa, whoa,
celery,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
I'm hungry now.
and you'd
Yeah,
really
the onions. Although I will say, I might have to capitulate because I do want to kind of try it.
mm-hmm.
But there's a video going around where it's this old guy
Mm.
with a beard, long
Yep.
beard, and he's like, "Hey, you chop up some onions, you put it in a jar, you put honey in that jar with the onions, you let it sit there for a couple days, and if you feel like you're getting sick, you take some of that honey and taste it, and eat it." And it's like, dude, I like honey. Honey's pretty good, but onions, dude, that's an obstacle.
Your avoidance of onions. And yes, you can make a pot roast, Pat, but even then, as you well know, you'd salt the beef, you'd sear it off, then you would deglaze your pan with a bit of beer or a bit of wine. You'd have your onions, your mushrooms, you'd fluff out the rest of the dish so that it's still this nice hearty stew and it has a nice concentrated potent flavor. Whereas when you have about a quarter of the amount of meat that you would put in a beef stew or a pot roast. You don't really have the wine. You don't really have the vegetables. So what you're left with is a couple of vegetables, water, and a 4 ounce portion of beef without much salt, even. You aren't going to end up with the most flavorful dish. Now, they did their best, and some of their dishes weren't terrible. But that's where a lot of the stereotype of English food is very bland. Whereas if you have pub grub, if you have shepherd's pie, that's a well cooked shepherd's pie. Shepherd's pie isn't bland. Cottage pie isn't bland. You can have faggots and mash, not bland. Bangers and mash, not bland. But it's when you have just the ridiculous amount of rationing that they did. It really muted it down. And I've watched a little bit of Fire Kitchen. I haven't watched all of it. But what I saw of it, I think was good. Let me make sure that I'm thinking the right series. You're talking about the dude that goes out in the wild and cooks food in interesting environments just over a fire, right, Pat?
Wait, what's he doing?
So there's a YouTube channel, Fire Kitchen, where there's a guy who just goes out into remote areas on camping trips, effectively. And he cooks different meals in these remote areas, just right over top of the fire. So it's this beautiful scenery, different points of the year, and he'll take like tomahawk steaks out, and he'll cook a beautiful tomahawk steak on just a nice roaring campfire. Because that's the guy that really popularized the Siberian chef's knife, right? Or not Siberian, the Serbian chef's knife. Yeah, I've seen a good number of his videos, and even he will use a lot of different herbs and spices and things like that in order to improve the flavor. And at the very least, he always salts the meat well and does a good job at that.
I cannot say that I've ever seen a video of his, but it looks interesting. Some of the clips that I've seen, yeah. It looks nice.
And yeah, the sweet knife that he's using is the Serbian chef's knife. So there's a Pat, you know a lot, or you're an actual chef. I'm just a hobbyist. There's about, would you say, 5 different major chef's knife classes? You have the European chef knife, you have the Chinese chef's knife, you have the Sentoku, you have the Kiritsuke, and then you have the Serbian. Would be the 5 major chef's knives that I would think of. Would you agree with those 5, or would you add a 6th or subtract one of those 5 from the chef's knife category? But yeah, the food that the guy makes looks absolutely beautiful. And it's cooked over a fire. It's the sort of thing that what he cooks on the campfire would also make you grant him the title of campfire wizard, Adam.
Oh yeah. Well, somebody has to be delegated to the cook master, you know?
Yep.
Chief executive of the cook.
And if my web camera was working right now, I'd pop on the camera and show you guys the 5 knives that I mentioned. Because I have each of them. I have a European, which that's the knife that everyone in the US and in England, in Europe, is most familiar with, where it's 8 to 12 inches long. Typically, you can have a flat belly or you can have a curved belly to the knife. You can have And that one, if you go to your normal kitchen store, you'll see that one everywhere. Like I said, it's the one that most people are familiar with. You have the Chinese chef's knife, which looks a lot like a light cleaver.
No.
So it's a thin blade cleaver rather than the long knife with that nice little rise at the end near the handle so that you have room for your knuckles and having that long pointed design. It's just this rectangular, not really thin. It's probably about the thickness of a chef's knife, maybe a little bit thicker, but it's not as thick as a heavy cleaver. And that's the Chinese chef's knife. Then you have the Santoku, which is the sheep's foot style knife. Here, let me do the easy way. I can't pull up my knives because my camera's on the fritz, but I can look up different knives and show the pictures. So let me pull this up, do an image search, and I'll click. This one is a very standard European chef's knife.
When you say standard
this one also
European
has-
chef's knife, do you mean like a butcher knife like Michael Myers has?
So, butcher's knife is a different style of knife. So,
Oh,
let me pull up a good example of a standard European, and then I'll pull up images of each of the others. So, start with the standard European and share screen. So, share this. So this is a standard
Ah.
European chef's knife.
yeah, that's
This-
the kind of knife Michael Myers has. So that's a chef's knife, right?
This is a chef's knife.
Okay.
Then you
Okay.
have flat-bellied versions and you have rounded bellies.
Mhm.
This one is more on the rounded belly.
Mhm.
And the belly of the blade is the actual sharpened edge of the blade.
Mhm.
So that would be a standard European chef's knife. Like I said, you can have flatter versions where rather than it being rounded towards the tip like that, it's more of just a wedge. Let me see if I can find a good example of that. And I think this one might be... Yeah, this one's a flat belly. Let me open up this image and switch which tab I'm presenting. So present. Stop
Beep,
that
beep.
one.
Hug, hug, hug.
Start a new one. So this
Oh,
one is
that's
a
pretty.
flat belly. You see how it doesn't really have a curve to the
Mhm.
edge of the blade? It's
Mhm.
just a straight line.
It's
So that's
pretty.
a flat belly European chef. So you
I
have
like
round
that
belly
one.
European, you have flat belly European. Then you have Chinese
Good
chef
stabby,
knives,
stabby.
which, like I said, Chinese chef's knives look a lot like cleavers. Let me find a good traditional one. This one's a traditional Chinese cleaver. So let me exit out of this one and start up another screen share to show this one. So this one is a Chinese chef's knife.
Hmm.
Like I said, it looks like a cleaver, but it's a light
Mhm.
cleaver rather than a heavy cleaver. Heavy cleaver would have a very thick spine
Hmm.
in order to power through large bones. Whereas light cleavers and vegetable cleavers, they'll have a much thinner blade so that it is able to go through that. But if you try to take it against like a cow thigh, a cow femur, it'll
And-
just shatter the blade.
And that's the main purpose of the shape and weight distribution of the blade, right? Is
So different styles of knives are used in different ways. The various chef's knives that I'm showing are all used. So their handling is different, but the ways in which they're used, so what they're used with, are all very much the same. You'll use a European chef's knife, round or flat, in with the same sort of things that you would with a Chinese chef's knife. Because Chinese chef's knife, you'll deal with chickens. You'll deal with cuts of beef where you're cutting in between bones, not trying to cut the bones. You'll use it for fruits and vegetables. You'll use it for mushrooms, anything like that. So a chef's knife is a general purpose knife that you don't use for really hard duty. You can use it for fine work, but its utility in fine use is reduced because of the normal size of them. So while you can use a chef's knife to peel a potato, for instance, you're better off with a paring knife. You're better off with a peeler. You're better off with something that's more purpose-built. It's smaller, it's lighter, it's more agile in the hand. But a chef's knife you can use for pretty much anything other than work with heavy bones. So Chinese chef's knife, you handle it differently, but it's still used with the same sorts of things. And then let me pull up the Santoku, which is the first of the Japanese chef's knives that people might know. So I'll get a beautiful version of a Santoku. This one, yeah, this is a good one to use. So the Santoku is a sheep's foot knife when it comes to how it looks. And what sheep's foot means is this end point, you see how it's very sharply rounded?
Sharply rounded.
Yeah. So it's flat, 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 and then it sharply rounds to
I was freaking muted. That's so
the
pretty.
blade. And then you have the blade side. So a sheep's foot is this really sudden rounding at the end of a knife.
Why has it got the bumps on it?
So this one, the bumps, part of it is just for the appearance.
Oh.
Part of it is it helps it release food a little bit easier. So when you hear releasing food, what that means is when you cut things, you've cut
yeah, the
onions,
wet
right?
makes it stick, right?
Yeah, you've cut onions before, and as you're cutting onions, the onions kind of stick to the side of your knife.
Yep.
If you have dimpling on the knife, then that reduces the surface area, so the onion is more likely to flop off the knife.
Ah, okay.
Pretty sure you could have used garlic as a interpretation.
I could have done garlic as well. I used onion because onion's the one that most people think of with that. So
Where you got against onions at?
Adam has a fucking blood feud with onions.
Oh, even sweet Vidalia onions?
Yeah, he doesn't like any onions.
Oh no, what about green onions?
I keep telling him that I'm willing to bet I can make a sort of onion that he would enjoy.
What about onion rings, Adam?
Because I know the thing that drives him crazy when it comes to onions. Because he has said that he likes French fried onions. So French onions.
French fried onions?
I think we could talk past the onions right now.
The
No,
little crispy onions that people will sometimes put in soups.
Oh, see, I was thinking like the the onion rings, but they're like little buds, like little what do they call them, flowers or something. Like you get
Oh, the
blooming
blooming
onion.
onion?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I was
French
thinking.
fried onions are the little strips of onion that are fried, and you can find containers of them, sprinkle them on soups and salads and shit like that.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean now.
But yeah, this is a santoku, so it has that sheep's foot, and again, it can come in flat bellied or rounded belly. Rounded belly is more common with the santoku. Then the Kiritsuke is another Japanese chef's knife. The Kiritsuke is a clipped blade chef's knife. Let's see, this one's beautiful. So let me pull up this one. Come on. Show the full picture. Open a new tab. Okay. So open that one and then cancel this so I can share the next knife. So this is a Kiritsuke knife, which, like I said, is another style of Japanese chef's knife. This one's rather ornate in the way that it's handled, and
That's
it uses a
pretty.
either Damascus or pattern welded blade for it, which is why it has that nice little pattern on the knife. That is a beautiful thing to look at, depending on if it's actually Damascus, which is a combination of two types of steel, higher carbon and lower carbon steels, that has some actual advantage. It's also called roots steel when it's true Damascus, or whether it's pattern welded, which is just you get different types of steel, you mix them together, you hit them with a blowtorch in a certain way, and you get the pattern weld.
It's a pretty
But-
knife. I like the shape of it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a good looking
so-
blade.
This is a clipped blade knife, which is, see how it looks like the actual end of the knife was cut off at a 45-degree angle?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a clipped blade. And Kiritsukes are clipped blade knives. This one, absolutely beautiful specimen of that sort of knife. And then the final one is the Serbian chef knife. And the Serbian chef's knife
I
is
just noticed the
sometimes-
mushrooms in that picture, though. Sorry. Oh, that mushroom looks good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the Serbian chef's knife is a water drop blade, is how it's often referred to.
huh.
And you'll see why. So this is a Serbian chef's knife.
Oh. Oh, that's wicked. Oh, I want
So
it.
again, kind of like the Chinese chef's knife, it looks almost like a cleaver.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Pretty.
again in that kind of halfway between a light cleaver, like a vegetable cleaver, and a heavy cleaver, like a meat cleaver.
Yeah, it's a quick chop type of
He's so
utensil.
cute. He a chunky boy. He's a
Yeah.
chunky knife.
And it's called a water drop because if you rounded out the knife side or the handle side of the blade, it would look like a water droplet. So it's a water drop knife is one way of referring to this blade profile. And again, like I said, it's used in the same way as the other chef, or it's used for the same things that the other chef's knives would be, but its handling is a little bit different. So when you're dealing with the different chef's knives, it isn't, well, the European chef's knife is clearly superior to the other chef's knives. No, it's not. It's each of them has a slightly different use case, but not really. It's more how you use them is the big difference between them. So your handling of a European chef's knife will be much different than your handling of a Santoku or Kiritsuke or a Chinese or a Serbian chef's knife. And yeah, you always need to make sure that you sharpen your knife. As Rotten said, a good whetstone for keeping your knives in tip-top shape. Also, you'll want to have a honing steel. Some people refer to them as sharpening steels. There are sharpening steels or honing steels. They're two different things. People often use those terms interchangeably. A sharpening steel has diamond grit on it, which allows it to actually wear away some of the metal of the blade in order to sharpen it, whereas a honing steel doesn't have any diamond grit. It's just a decently hard iron or steel that is just hard enough that if the blade has rolled at all, because the very tip of your blade can end up bending and rolling weirdly. If the very tip of your blade has rolled at all, you run it along a honing steel, and the honing steel trues your blade again. Whereas a sharpening steel
Sorry.
would actually
Ooh,
take metal off the blade. And no worries.
bless you.
Thank you.
Here's a knife.
I didn't get to the mute in time. Sorry about that. It's sneezing so much.
Yep. Allergy season's always a bitch.
Yeah. And I'm allergic to dust, and there's dust all in this house, so.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, that not teardrop, good grief.
The Serbian
Water
chef's
drop.
knife.
The water drop one's really neat looking.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's the thing. When it comes to chef's knives,
mm,
the way that I would select a chef's knife, if I was being asked to help someone else pick a chef's knife, because like I said, I have all of those types of chef's knives and I use them routinely. But if I was helping someone pick a chef's knife for their very first knife, the way that I would work through it is, what style of cooking are you intending to do? Because if you're planning on cooking a lot of Chinese food, it kind of makes sense to get a Chinese chef's knife.
mm,
If you're planning on cooking a lot of Japanese, go for a Japanese chef's knife. Either the Santoku or the Keritsuke. If you're going for French, English, German, go for a European. You don't have to, but that's a way that is fairly easy to help you pick out what type of chef's knife you want to get. Are you guys still there? Okay, yep. That
yeah, I'm
minimized
still here,
and,
sorry.
Sorry, I had something happen where rather than returning to the proper size, it minimized, so I wasn't sure if it had closed, which is why there was that slight pause of, oh shit.
Yeah.
But the next thing that I would ask is whether the person is fairly large or fairly small, because different size knives move better in certain people's hands. So on average, this isn't a hard and fast, but on average, the smaller you are, the smaller you want your chef's knife.
Huh.
So if you're a tiny, tiny person, then a 6 to 8 inch chef's knife, probably golden. That's probably your ideal range. And you can find some 6-inch chef's knives. They're rare in the same way that a 12-inch chef's knife is rare. You can find them, it's just difficult.
Mm.
But 7s and 8s, those are really common. 9s are really common. You can find 10s fairly reliably. 11s, 12s, and 6s, difficult to find, but not impossible. So if you're on the small end, go for that 6 to 8. If you're standard size, then I would say probably 7 to 10 is your golden range. If you're massive, then I would say 9 to 12. Because typically the larger you are, the larger a blade will feel natural in your hand. Like, I can use a 6-inch knife that I have, but it feels like a toy.
That makes sense, yeah. You need
So,
something that just kind of fit because your hands are larger.
yeah, my hands are
Yeah.
larger, and when you're cutting with a knife in a kitchen, this is something that no doubt Pat will be able to jump in on and agree if he's still here. Most of the time, you don't use your knife in a hammer grip. So, a hammer grip is when your hand is completely wrapped around the handle of the knife. Instead, you'll use effectively a mix of handshake and pinch. So, when you're cutting with a knife in the kitchen, typically your thumb is up on the actual side of the blade, as well as your index finger. And then your middle ring and pinky are wrapped around the handle because this gives you really fine tip control of your knife and it allows you to have really smooth, delightful slices with it. So, having a larger knife when you're larger, your hand fits a bit nicer in the pinch. Having a smaller knife when you're smaller, your hand fits a bit nicer in the pinch. But yeah, that's my discussion on chef's knives because of the absolutely beautiful food that was being made on Fire Kitchen. Oh yeah, when he does something like that where he melts chocolate on a steak, that is heartbreaking. But there are certain dishes where you do something kind of like that. Like I know some people really like a why am I blanking on the name of the sauce? It's a spiced chocolate sauce. Common in Hispanic cooking, and it is a mohan. Let me quickly check because there's one sauce that is a spiced chocolate sauce that is fairly common in Hispanic cooking. It is used on a fair number of Hispanic dishes, especially meat dishes. And it is. Where is this? Mole. That's the name that I was looking for. A mole sauce. And I've seen people put moles on steak. It hurts me because steak should be salt, maybe some pepper, perhaps a little bit of garlic. That's the best way of having steak. Another good way with a bit of chimichurri spooned on top. Ooh, that's delicious. That little bit of acid, that bit of herbaceous, that garlic with the steak. As long as it's a nice beefy steak and not something really delicate in flavor, it's amazing. And then if you have a really strong beefy steak, blue cheese sauce or horseradish sauce is amazing. And I heard Adam suddenly unmute like he had something to say.
Well, I don't know. I kind of always saw mole like a curry,
Yeah,
where
and
you'd probably put it more on a rice or like a filling type dish as opposed to. Yeah, I would never put it on a meat like a steak. Seems
yeah,
kind
a
of weird.
good chunk of the time it is kind of like Hispanic curry. But I have seen people that will do mole spooned over steak, and it always feels wrong. Mole chicken's really common. A bunch of other meats are really common.
I mean, skirt steak like avrachetas, and you put some mole on it. I don't think that'd be too bad, but
Put some what on it?
it's not. I don't think it's common. But then
Mole,
again, I don't know. I'm not a. You are talking to somebody who does not speak Spanish and has no real cultural ties to that other than the limited stuff. So I wouldn't know.
yep. Yeah, like I said, I've seen people do it with steaks. It's wrong in my opinion. I've seen it with chicken. Chicken perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Other cuts of beef perfectly fine. Skirt steak, I can deal with skirt steak and mole. That doesn't bother me. Flank
yeah,
and
but
mole.
but
that
it's not
doesn't-
like an actual.
But if I see
cut
like a New
steak.
York strip or
Yeah.
a prime rib,
What is mole though? What?
mole,
a-
like I said, it's a spiced chocolate sauce.
Yeah.
Oh no 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 no! Ew! No.
So it is, as Adam pointed out, in a lot of uses, kind of like a Hispanic curry.
Yeah,
where
you
it has-
usually find it on like rice.
yeah, you'll have that spice and tang and bit of sweetness. So, if a well done mole is a thing of beauty, I will.
Oh, don't
Okay,
Okay,
get me
so
wrong.
it's not like having a Twix on your steak. It's okay.
No, not at all.
But yeah, it's not something that should go on steak. But again, it's something that I've seen people do mole on steaks, and it just feels wrong. But mole on chicken, mole on rice, mole on beans, mole on a mole enchilada, where it's rather than using a
Enchilada.
standard enchilada sauce, you use mole as the sauce.
You know why it's called the mole, right?
Why is that?
When you put it on the food and you eat it, you're like, holy moly, this is great. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Kefki.
Waka waka.
Oh. You're on a list now.
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your segment. I'm sorry. Oh,
And
Or
cannibalistic,
She said, "Holy moly!" Right there, and
I would
Duh.
disagree because when you have picana from a Brazilian, oh, good God. You've had picana before, right, Adam?
tried what?
Picana from a Brazilian.
No.
So, picana is a Brazilian cut of steak
Ooh.
that is absolutely delicious. And it's amazing. Good God. Fuck yes.
Why did they cut the steak at an angle?
So, picana, let me quickly double check the European nomenclature of it, because
Well,
there
because
is.
it's like what was that Japanese cut of steak?
Oh, you're talking about the Wagyu, which is not a cut of steak, it's a means of raising the beef.
Oh,
why you?
So, picana is the more European nomenclature for picana is the rump cap steak. It is absolutely amazing. If you grill up a picana beautifully, ooh, it is one of the best cuts of meat on earth. But Wagyu is a method of raising the cow or cattle for the steak, which then produces Wagyu meat. And there's a number of different. Wagyu steak can be produced anywhere. There's different regional versions of Wagyu that are specific. So, for instance, Kobe Wagyu can only be produced in Kobe. And Kobe is the one that became the most well known early on. But there's
Oh yeah, like I've
a
heard of that Kobe beef.
there's a
Yeah.
big four of Japanese Wagyu. One of them's Kobe, and those big four every year in the awards for Wagyu meat end up trading around the first place.
Hmm.
Because it's Kobe. Trying to think of what the big four are again. Because I have them listed somewhere as if I get a raise of a substantial amount, my plan is to go and buy steaks of
Mm.
one of the big four, and then each time go for one of the other big four. So one of them is Miyazaki, if I remember correctly, because it's Kobe, Miyazaki. Um,
Wait, so you're gonna fill your freezer with all of these steaks?
well, if I get a substantial pay boost, my plan is to get a couple of steaks of one of the big fours, and each time I get a pay boost of that size, I'll go for a different one of the big fours. And
Do you have one
then
of those deep freezers? One of those
Ooh.
standalone freezers?
no, I'd get it and then I'd make it.
Oh, it's a good plan though. Steak is freaking amazing. I love steak. Haven't
Yeah.
had it in forever, but oh, it's so good.
I want a steak.
Yeah, me too.
But I'd
Hey,
go
Sanguine,
for
Give
could
me
you cook
steak.
us up a steak?
Yeah.
yeah. I cooked up steaks. I've cooked up many steaks. I've cooked up steaks for you. I cooked up 12 pounds of steak.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, y'all suck.
Oh, could you do
You
it
you
again?
you suck at it. You cut steak with steaks. That's I'm so sad. I bet it
Yeah,
was delicious. I bet it was amazing.
It
cooked
was.
up 12 pounds of steaks for
12 pounds.
It's not like I
just
ate
a
all 12 pounds of steak.
for
I
just
know,
a
Adam. I'm
handful of us.
teasing you.
So yeah, it's Kobe beef, then Matsusaka beef, and Omi beef are apparently the big three,
Huh.
followed by Yonezawa beef and Tokichi. Then it's Miyazaki. But Miyazaki often ends up getting bumped up into big four range.
Hmm. So they just trade places like you. Yeah. Well, you said that already, Derp.
So, like I said, when it comes to if I get a big enough raise, my plan is to go and buy two steaks of one of the big brands, get an A5 or two A5 steaks, and just enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that when you're talking about Wagyu beef, especially one of the big three or big four Wagyu beef, if you look like a Miyazaki Wagyu on Amazon right now for 4 to 5 pounds is just shy of $1,000.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Why?
Yeah, they're just shy of $1,000 for a 5 pound pack.
A 5 pound pack. So that's like a bucket list type thing, isn't it?
Oh, like I said, it's if I end up getting a ridiculous raise, or I get a new job that ends up increasing my annual income by like $10,000, then I'll get 2 steaks of one of the big wagyus and be like a pig in shit when I do. Because also Wagyu is rated by a alphanumeric system. So the highest quality is A5. And the beef that I would go for would be A5 Wagyu.
Haha. And the people that you would choose to dine with you would only be A5. And since my name starts with A, I think I'm part of that A5.
Your name doesn't have 5 A's, though.
ADA. Shit. Alright, well, okay.
You'll be right back. You're gonna type your name in differently.
I'm
There
gonna
you
go figure this out. Maybe there's some circular square math that needs to be employed here. But no,
You'll
I mean,
be veggie of the 5th instead of the
and
1st.
there's no A's in veggie.
Oh,
Damn it!
crap.
Damn it! She cursed me. Damn it!
Sorry.
No, not you. But hold on. So if this steak is 1,000, do you think?
For 4 to 5 pounds, it's about $1,000.
Is it broken?
So we can start a GoFundMe.
So each steak, at the price that they have it listed on Amazon, I wouldn't go through Amazon. I would go through a different seller, but it was just an easy way to quickly look at the current value of the steak.
But
For
multiple
4 to 5 pounds,
people can
it's
go in.
about $250 a pound.
Oh, shit. I was gonna say 2 or 3 people can go in and just divvy up the slice of meat.
Yeah, it's about $200 to $250 a pound.
Hey, Badger. Hi.
But again, it is something that, oh, good fucking God. That is if I get like a $10,000 increase in my pay, absolutely. Within moments of realizing that I have that, I'm going to quickly go buy that beef and have an amazing celebratory dinner. As well as going out and buying some obscene whiskey with it.
Yeah.
Though, then again, one of the whiskeys I currently have is about $1,000 bottle.
Oh, wow.
Dude, this is an expensive meal. I mean, meal. The only one who's gonna up you is Cleopatra tossing a pearl in her fucking glass of vinegar.
Yep. I thought it was that she tossed silver in it and ended up actually slightly poisoning herself.
I haven't heard the silver.
I'm gonna quickly double check because
I mean, I was still confused as how a pearl dissolves in vinegar, but
I'm going to see if I can find that story because I think trying to find this. If you guys can talk about something while I'm looking for this.
yeah, Kefki. I really like that you're streaming Final Fantasy VI. I love that Final Fantasy. That's probably my favorite Final Fantasy game. I don't know what the hubbalub is with 7, especially with the new remake coming out. It's kind of weird, but I don't know. And I was kind of hesitant on the way they made the design for the new or for the remake of the Final Fantasy series. I think that's what you're playing, Kefki. I think it's part of the remake one, but it looks good. It looks, it's.
Hello?
Hey,
Ah, I was muted the whole. I'm
whoa!
sitting here talking to you the whole time.
You were no, you what? You
And
were
You were dead silent on our side.
I was
what?
muted. My headset was muted. I'm an idiot.
No,
I was
it's
sitting there going,
technical
"Oh well, thank
difficulties.
you. Yeah, it's my favorite Final Fantasy of the whole series, too. And I really love that one. And yeah, I don't like what they're doing with the new Final Fantasy VII. They're releasing it in segments and in chapters, and it's stupid. And when I finished talking, you responded like you could hear me. It was weird.
I'm sorry, Kefki. That was my fault.
How is that your fault? It wasn't your
I don't
fault
know.
at all. Your fault. Stop it, Adam. Stop it. But yeah, no, the Final Fantasy VII, the thing that they're doing, that is so stupid. That's stupid. That's just because they want money. That's all that is.
Well, I don't even know what the hell's going on with it.
Oh, and also, yeah, I'm playing the one that I'm playing, Final Fantasy VI. It's kind of, it's not a remake. It's the original Final Fantasy VI. They just polished the graphics because it's on my tablet actually. Like if I'm streaming and you don't see my puppet, I'm on mobile streaming. But if I have my puppet, then I'm streaming off my computer. So yeah, it's a mobile version of the game, and they touched up the graphics and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it doesn't look that bad. I
Oh
was
no, it
seeing
looks
some
really good.
well, I was seeing some reviews on it, and they were upset that the graphics look kind of I don't know, generic, I guess they would
Wait,
put
the
it
graphics of what?
in the
6 or 7?
in 6.
Oh, and 6. I don't see why they think it's generic. I
I
don't.
I think it's more so they enjoyed the SNES graphics more so.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm still my favorite version of that game is still the original SNES one.
Yeah. I mean, as long as the
Um,
game plays the same.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I just double checked the story, and it was a pearl, and it
Ha!
was also most likely slander by Pliny.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it was what, Mark Anthony.
It was Mark Anthony and Cleopatra had a gamble.
On a barge.
Yeah, and she dissolved the pearl in vinegar, but apparently it was a somewhat common turn of phrase at the time that someone was so profligate, effectively, and so wasteful that they would dissolve in vinegar precious pearls.
Yeah, it was like.
Vinegar will eat
Yeah.
pretty much anything though. Vinegar can be
Oh, they
strong.
had the one delicacy that started with a field mouse and ended with a camel.
Oh dear
Hmm.
God.
Yeah, what it was is, you know the turducken, right?
Oh God.
The
Turducken?
turducken don't have shit on ancient Roman feasting
Wow.
because the ancient Roman feasting had a meal that started with a field mouse, which was then shoved in another animal, which was then shoved in another animal, which was then shoved in another animal. And like 20 animals down the line, it was shoved in a camel.
don't think that would taste very good. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say I don't think I could
Whoa.
eat that.
Hey, don't
Then
knock
it
it
was
till you
all
try it.
roasted.
I'm not going to try it because it doesn't exist anymore. It's extinct. It died with the uh
Pyramids.
yes.
Well, the animals are still all alive.
Yeah, but nobody's doing that with a.
They're not alive after they and stuffed into each other. Sanguine.
No, not
Sorry.
Say a
those
camel?
specific animals, but the species are all still uh, around. So you could go out, get all the required ingredients, remove their bones, and start stuffing them, and then roast them.
Do you think? Oh shit! I just watched a video of his with the Greek hoplites
Oh,
eating
the Ikrion. You're talking about Max Miller tasting history.
tasting
Wait.
history. Yeah. Do you think tasting history would do something like that?
Well,
And
he's
hey, do you
done
think?
the chimeric foods of the Middle Ages.
Rushing nesting doll of meat.
Nesting doll meat. Yep,
Badger.
that's exactly what he has
Oh, that was
described.
perfect.
Take a
Yeah,
field mouse
that's
and you
what it was.
stuff it in
And
you
it was
stuff
the
it in meat.
Matryoshka doll of meat. But yeah, he's done the chimeric meats of the Middle Ages.
Hey, did you see that? What he made though? What is it? Sesame and oil or honey?
Yep.
Do you
Yeah,
think you
the
can make some of that,
Ikrion. Yeah, the Ikrion would be really easy to make.
dude? If you make that next time we meet up, that'd be awesome.
I can see if I can get everything together for it. And if I have time for it, yeah, I can do that.
I don't know what the hell unfiltered honey is, but
Oh, it's just the cloudy honey that you can find in stores.
Does it still have the baby bee pupa in it?
It still
cry
has
baby bee,
Yeah. Oh God.
baby.
it still has a bit of the wax and a few other impurities in it, so it
Oh.
hasn't been purified the same way
I
that.
like
That's
the
good.
beeswax, the honeycomb, the
Yep.
little. We used to get that in our honey all the time when we got it from the farmer's market.
Yep. But yeah,
It's good.
Ikrion was what you're talking about, and like I said, Max Miller has done the chimeric medieval meats, where he took I think he made didn't he make which one did he make? He made the why am I blanking? It's it's also a creature in Final Fantasy, and it's the
Wait, what are we talking? A chocobo?
He
That would be
roasted a
awful.
chocobo.
cockatrice.
Cockatrice.
Yeah, he made the cockatrice,
Oh.
which in order to make a cockatrice, what you do is you take the bottom half of I think it's the bottom half of a suckling pig and the top half of a chicken.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you not see the Max Miller cockatrice, Adam?
No. No. I've seen him make hardtack.
Wait, who's a squeaky boomer? I thought that said Kefki's a squeaky boomer. I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to be arrogant. I just thought I saw my name. Sorry. Distracted.
But yeah,
So he Frankensteined a cockatrice.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
what
And then he cooked it.
chimeric medieval. That's what chimeric medieval meats are. So, with chimeric meats from medieval feasts, what they would do is they take a couple different animals and they would stitch them together. One of them was the cockatrice. So the cockatrice was a suckling pig lower half that was then stitched onto a chicken upper half and then roasted.
That's insane. That's something.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's want to say peasantry, but I don't think that's the right word.
No, this is royalty. This was a
Peasantry.
royal.
No, yeah, that's exactly what I was like. But
Peasantry.
it was more something, to be
Oh, and I got it
seen.
wrong. It was the suckling pig upper half and the chicken lower half.
Oh,
Okay,
I
wait, they're
just quickly
putting.
double checked it.
I don't know if that makes it any better. But I mean,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, like I said, you're you're still gonna just be taking slices of either chicken or ham. So you might get, some of the juices in there, so you get a bit of chicken with some ham flavor. But
I don't know. I think the choicest slice would be where it gets both cuts.
yeah, oh yeah,
The choicest slice right at that fusion line.
you would get the same experience around Thanksgiving time, where they have a turkey, but somebody also brought a ham. So you can get a slice of ham and
No,
a
no, no,
slice of
because
turkey.
ham is different than a suckling roast pig.
I'm trying to get the closest experience.
Well,
Um,
find some place that serves both suckling pig and roast chicken.
What the hell is a suckling pig? What is a suckling pig though?
it's a
A
pig with a
suckling pig
pacifier in him.
is a piglet of a specific age
Oh,
that hasn't yet been weaned,
oh no. I kind of put that together after you said a piglet. Oh
which is
no.
what makes it a suckling pig because it
Oh,
has not been weaned, so it is still suckling.
poor
Yeah,
baby pig.
baby, it's Peppa Pig.
Peppa
And
Pig
suckling
jigsaw
pigs
puzzle.
taste delicious.
Love that meme.
What's up, Quiz?
Hey,
Nothing
Quiz.
much. How about you guys?
Been talking
Yeah,
mostly about food and kitchen stuff.
I was gonna say suckling pigs. Are you talking about the Peppa Pig jigsaw puzzle?
Yeah, I love
I
that
was talking
meme.
about the
Jigsaw
cockatrice,
puzzle?
which was a chimeric medieval roast meal.
Well, it's also a mythological, like half chicken, half like lizard that can paralyze you with a
Yep, it's
gaze.
very similar to the basilisk.
So that's
Yeah.
why I don't understand. Why didn't they fuse a lizard and a
Whoa, hold
chimkin
on.
together
Did you just
for that?
basilisk? Look, I'm like 2 hours left into this 9 hour video about homunculuses. I will give you the link.
Oh, yeah, homunculuses. Are they talking about the physiological homunculus? Or, sorry, the neurological homunculus or the mythological homunculus?
The alchemist homunculus.
Okay. Because there is actually a neurological homunculus.
Yeah,
In fact, there's two neurological homunculi.
yeah. No, this is they're looking into uh ancient. Oy. Okay, here's my tinfoil hat. So, looking into ancient alchemistic creating creatures in glass jars, little humans, homunculi, um, or little demon creatures that put the look. When I'm at work and I'm working on laptops and desktops, I have the freedom to put on some really crazy uh, documentaries and shit. So this is what I was, like I said, 9 hour video. I think I'm like 2 hours left uh, into it.
I don't know why, but I was desperately hoping when you did that little bit of frustration that you were going to say, ah, what I'm trying to say is that they're turning the freaking gnomes gay.
Dude, I was trying to avoid that. Just like it's so, especially just thinking about what I was watching earlier. I'm like, wow, this is really crazy. It's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous stuff. But I don't know. Hey, it's out there. You know. That's all I could say. I didn't make these manuscripts and chisel these stone structures and put this shit out there. But you know what I like to do? I like to play Street Fighter, and I like to play video games on Mondays on the Minions.
So wait, are you not talking about the Russian guy that used a syringe and semen and like put it into the egg, like a chicken egg, and then like a homunculi creature like hatched out of the egg and then spit acid in his face?
Yes, that was actually at the first part, first part of this 9-hour video. At the first part of it, they're like, "Hey, the homunculi has started coming into the news articles because of this," and they started showing the Russian video stuff, and they're like, "But actually, this is where it really comes from," and they started going into like, dude, they went into like Sanguine, you talked about them. Those Greek creatures that had like a bunch of arms and shit.
Oh, the Hecatoncheires.
Hecatoncheires, yeah. They were talking about those and like creatures where it's like the head was in the middle of the body and it had arms and legs, but it was just like a head. And then another like other creatures where it was like I don't know, man.
Are you talking about the Japanese yokai where it's the face and the chest?
Yeah, but it wasn't Japanese, it was European. Like I said, dude,
Which
this was
mythology?
I'll send you a link to it. It's fucking nutso, man. But hey, you know, we all have our hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how's work, Quiz?
It's going okay. It's winding down here and nearly done, so I can start on the weekend. And the interesting thing is that Leviathan comes out tomorrow. Woo!
Nice.
The what?
So I gotta go and pre-order that.
Oh.
Leviathan. It's the big 10th edition box set for everything. I say the Tyranids and the Space Marines already have their rules out for, well, their data sheets out for 10th edition. And I've been combing over it with my buddy SCP, because he plays Tyranids, and I have 3 different Space Marine armies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting to the point where it's like, you know, you look through all of the changes and you go like, well, these are weird, but is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I can see the way that some of the data sheets have changed, that it's going to be an interesting way to build my White Scars army. And it's entirely different than how it used to be for Ninth.
So it's one of those situations where you have to actually get it fielded before you can tell what the effect is going to be.
Pretty much, yeah. Like the major thing that is different about 9th and 10th is that the one unit, the Outriders, was one of the units that I was going to use quite a bit in my White Scars. They're Primaris Marines on bikes, right? Back in 9th edition, it was 3 Outriders. Hard and fast. No more, no less. Okay? That was 1 fast attack choice. Now, it's 3 to 6 Outriders, and you can take an Invader ATV.
Okay.
And Invader ATVs got a slight nerf because you used to be able to take Invader ATVs in a squadron of up to 3. Now, if you take an Invader ATV by itself, it's hard and fast 1. So how it used to be is that you could take up to 9 Invader ATVs, but now you can take 1 Invader ATV in up to 3 Outrider choices, and then 1 Invader ATV in its own choice of up to 3. So it used to be you could take up to 9, now you can take only up to 6.
Mm.
but they're part of a unit with the Outriders, and you can double up on the Outriders that you used to be able to have. Because you used to, like, the hard and fast is you could only have 9 Outriders. Now, you can have up to, 6 and 2, 18 Outriders.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Personally speaking, I'm okay with that because I like the bikes more for the White Scars. So, I'm okay with sacrificing the Invader ATVs for more bikes.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll be interesting is the major thing. And the funny thing is, too, is that I was reading it. Primaris-only armies get BTFO'd. I don't give a shit. You can go fuck yourself. Games Workshop have unequivocally proven that manlets are better.
Okay.
Because, we have, for Primaris, we have regular intercessors, we have assault intercessors, and we have heavy intercessors. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then now we also have tactical marines. Tactical marines are firstborn. They are manlets. Okay? Now, what special rule do all 4 of these have? They each have a different one. Assault intercessors have probably the best special rule, and that's in the fact that they can advance and charge. So it means that they can move, get an extra d6 inches of movement, and then charge. Normally, you can't charge after you advance. Okay? So that's really good. And I say it's designed to help armies like the Blood Angels get into close combat. So, cool. Okay, I'm fine with assault intercessors. Regular intercessors have a rule where if they're on an objective, at the end of their command phase, then they can leave the objective and still count as claiming it until the enemy is able to claim the objective instead. So, like, if you take an objective in your backfield and you screen out your enemy from being able to get that backfield objective, you can just move around all you want and keep that backfield without anyone sitting on it. Mm-hmm. So that's cool, right? All right, and that's okay. Right? Not that good, in my opinion. Heavy intercessors have the ability to, the thing, if they're on an objective and they're targeted with any damage 1 weapons, then it improves their save by 1. Now that's pretty big. That used to be a rule called all is dust for 1,000 suns, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the caveat is that you have to be on an objective with them. So that's kind of a downside. It's not a universal. You can't have your heavy intercessors running around doing work and getting that extra advantage. They have to be on the objective to be able to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Tactical Marines. Now, Tactical Marines have a worse weapon. The Bolter, ostensibly speaking, is worse than the Bolt Rifle. The reason why is because the Bolt Rifle has AP 1, whereas the Bolter is 0. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But Tactical Marines get the ability to have the entire suite of melee weapons for their sergeant. They can have the entire suite of 1 special weapon for every 5 models. They could have the entire suite of heavy weapons for 5 models. If you take a unit of 10, you can have 1 special and 1 heavy, or 2 specials. And their universal special rule is they can fall back out of close combat, shoot, and charge. That is an infinitely more useful ability than anything that the intercessors, all of the different kinds of intercessors have.
Damn.
So yes, intercessor or Primaris only armies, yeah, get BTFO'd. I don't give a shit. Your tears are delicious. I don't care.
God damn.
I mean, it's the fact that there's so many people. Like, I know Simius has talked about him before, but Bitshammer. I don't think I've talked about him on a stream before. He's pretty infamous on Twitter dude like devolved into this like Trotskyist commie. I don't know. It's just it's gross, but he's very much in the whole female space marines and social justice and Warhammer and all that kind of bullshit. But I had a back and forth with that guy several times. Like I was pretty cordial with him back in the day, so like all of his descent into communist rhetoric is kind of new to me and a little shocking. But at the same time, like the one interaction I had with him was he was wanting to see Firstborn get squatted. He wanted to see Firstborn get removed from the game. He's been saying like Space Marines are bloated and blah 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 blah. So like I want to see Firstborn get removed. I'm like, well, now Firstborn are the better option. Eat it. I don't care. Firstborn are the better option. You can say what you want about GW, like fucking around with the sales or whatever, like they make certain units better so that they sell better and so on and so forth. Because I mean, Intercessors used to be just that much better, but since 10th edition, they've really fucked with a lot of that kind of stuff. Like Intercessors used to have an ability, had the different kinds of weapons that you could take. You could take a bolt rifle, an auto bolt rifle, and a stalker bolt rifle, and each one of them had a different profile, and they had different sort of battlefield effects. Now, nope. There's just the bolt rifle. Have fun. So manlets get all the options and Intercessors don't.
Damn. So was it just a rebalance that they decided to pull everything like that from them, or?
I think it was mainly because some of that stuff was just getting entirely too bloated. The fact that every intercessor, and including the heavy intercessors as well, had 3 completely different weapon options that they could choose, meant that it was harder to balance around the fact that anyone could choose the more desirable option if they have like certain minutia within their army's specific rules. Like a good example is the Imperial Fists, right? In 9th edition, Imperial Fists had the ability to, number one, ignore cover for all of their bolt weapons. And number 2, all 6s to hit exploded, meaning if you rolled a 6 to hit, your 1 hit would count as 2 hits. Okay? So that's huge, right? Well, what's the point in all of this? It is a quantifiable fact that the most enticing and the best option that you would give an Imperial Fist army is the auto bolt rifle, because auto bolt rifles are 24-inch range, assault 3, strength 4, no AP 1 damage. But if you're in tactical doctrine, you get +1 to your AP, so then your auto bolt rifle, which was normally AP 0, is now AP 1. So now it's the same as the auto or the regular bolt rifle. You get 1 more shot. It's assault, meaning you can advance and still shoot, and it ignores cover and explodes.
Damn.
So stacking up, yes, stacking up all of these synergies meant that there was just a nuclear option for that specific army.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the reason why they've decided to go the way that they have. Some things are poorer for it, in my opinion. Like Tyranids lost a lot of versatility. They used to have like a whole bunch of different melee weapons for Tyranid warriors, for instance. Like Tyranid warriors had the ability to take Scything Talons, Rending Claws, Bone Swords, Lash Whip and Bone Sword. Now it's just bio weapon, melee bio weapon. Doesn't matter what it's armed with; it's all the same. Which kind of sucks. I mean, that's not a good thing, especially for someone who went out of their way to model those those specific models in a certain way because of the weapons that you wanted to take for them. And I personally think that it's a mistake to do that, and they might rectify that, because right now it's just kind of like a hot fix. The data sheets that they put out for free right now are just so that you can play the game. They're not a codex entry. So that leads me to believe that when they have the proper codex come out for the Tyranids, it could change. And I hope it does.
So it was a rebalance, but it might have been overzealous.
10th edition just seems to be, in some ways, too overzealous for the balance issues, yes. Like, the major thing is that they've turned a lot of stuff on its head. Monsters and vehicles now have a massive boost in toughness. It used to be a pretty good rule of thumb that if you had a tank on the battlefield, it was toughness 8. A few of them were less. The guard had more, but for the most part, everything was toughness 8. Now it depends on like the size of the vehicle. Some of them are like toughness 9, like a Rhino is toughness 9, but like a Land Raider is toughness 16.
Damn.
So what that means is that now with a toughness 16 model, you need strength 32 to wound on 2s.
And how?
And I don't need,
strength?
I don't need to tell you. Yeah, I don't need to tell you. There's no such thing as strength 32, unless there's one case that I've seen where there is strength even above 32. A Warlord fucking Titan.
I was about to say, is it one of the big ass mechs?
Yeah. Warlord Titans, by the way, they've already come out and showed that one. They are toughness 20, meaning they require strength 40 to be able to wound them on 2s, and they have 100 wounds.
God damn.
Yeah, but they're also 3,000 points, so yeah.
So, is that to the point where if you're playing a 3,000 point game, you just slap that down and you tell them to suck your dick?
Well, believe it or not, Titans do have a glaring weakness. Melee. You get a knight army in melee combat, and there's nothing that Titan can do. Because Titans only get an invulnerable save versus ranged weapons. And you can, like, part out a knight list with nothing but knight errants. And knight errants are purely melee. Like, they have no ranged weapons, except for any carapace weapons you want to put on them. But yeah, they have the Thunderstrike Gauntlet and the Reaper Chainsword. So when it comes to like that specific model, you get 3 of those in close combat, and then watch as the Titan's wounds melt away, because there's nothing it can do about it. Yeah, it's like it only gets the invulnerable save versus ranged combat.
Okay. So as long as you get in close, it's fucked. But until you get in close, you're fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the thing does enough damage and has enough guns that getting close, especially with something as big as a knight, is kind of a hard ask.
Mm-hmm.
But by the same token, 3,000 points, that's a lot of points that you can spend on your knights.
Yeah. So you might be able to buy enough to bum rush it in a 3,000 point game and not just be fucked over from the moment that they slap that shit down on the table.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Now, it'd be different if you were, like, say, trying to take down a knight with nothing but an infantry army for the guard.
Then you're just fucked.
Yeah, it's like imagine 100 infantrymen with 45 caliber handguns going up against an M1 Abrams.
So the Russian style of war.
Pretty much, yeah. I see Green Badger Outdoors says he likes the aesthetics of the Tyranids. You know, it's teenage me would have balked at the fact that now current me is looking into getting a Tyranid army, simply because of the fact that every single person I knew coming up from being a teenager into now had a Tyranid army. So every single person I played against played Tyranids. But now,
I liked this shit before you did. You're just taking the army everyone else is. Fucking
well, that's what SCP is saying, I think. But yeah, no. But the funny thing is for all of that is like now that I've diversified how many people I play with and what armies they play. Now I'm starting to consider getting a Tyranid army.
I'm surprised, given your noted fuck every race not human.
Well, come on, dude. I have a full Orc army. I have a full Eldar army. I have a full Necron army. So I'm pretty much all in.
I knew about the Orc army because you like the big dumb stupid of the
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, no, I like their Mad Max aesthetic is what I really like because, truth be told, I had no desire to collect the Orcs until those buggies came out. When those buggies came out, the Mad Max look to them, I was all like, "Fuck yeah, I want these models. They look so fucking cool."
See, we talked a fair bit about the big dumb, we're just psychically powerfulness of the Orcs and how you find that fucking hilarious. That
Orcs are fun.
Doesn't work unless Orcs think that it should.
Yeah, orcs are fun. That's the whole thing. Is like, yeah, when you get down into the minutia of the of the setting, the Orcs are fucking terrifying because they are brutal, they're warlike, and they don't give the slightest modicum of a fuck when it comes to compassion for anything, including each other. Okay, they are horrifying. They're also the comedy relief of 40K.
Yep. And their shit only works because they think that it should.
That's part of it. What it is that that's the meme. But like in actuality, what the way that it really works is that Orc technology works in an improbable fashion, if that makes sense. It's like if they lash something together, it's instinctual and it works even though by all other metrics, these gears should be shot, they should be ground to dust, and they shouldn't be like biting into the cogs to allow them to turn or anything like that. So it's like it's more akin to like the infinite improbability drive from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy than it is by sheer belief.
But aren't they stealthier just by painting themselves specific colors?
Now, that kind of thing actually does have a noticeable, tangible effect on the universe, yes. Like, that is the extent where these sorts of things happen because they believe they should. Namely, things like the red ones go faster.
Because, yeah, that is gloriously what the fuck stupid.
Yep. I mean, that's even the army I play. I play Evil Sons, so my red ones go faster.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's purely because of those buggies. I fucking love the design of those buggies. Like, if it came down to it, if I could do my Orcs all over again, and knowing now how 10th edition is going to work, I probably would make nothing but buggies and bikes and have that be my Orc army. Mm-hmm. But the way it is now with what I have and what I have painted, I'm perfectly fine with what I have. I like my orc army, even though it's not the army I really wanted to make. I like it. So
Cannibalistic wizard just chanting.
I'm a tank. I'm a tank. I'm a tank.
Yep.
Bang! 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 Yep. Everyone knows that one. That one's Adeptus Ridiculous from Bricky. Put that one up on YouTube. That one's a commonly repeated like inside joke from tournaments. Was how that started, and that was back in like the early 2000s. Excuse me, early 2000s. And Green Badger Outdoors. They used to play 40K like 20 years ago. Yeah, third edition was about 20 years ago, and that was the most popular edition, I believe, of Warhammer. Now, like 8th edition and 9th edition now, they've kind of surpassed third in some way because it's now popular. Like it's got a more of a foothold in the zeitgeist, if that makes sense. So like more people are aware of 40K now than they were back in like 2002. But yeah, I mean, I started back in 1998, so I started with second edition.
So does anyone have anything else that they want to chat about? Because seems like things are winding down a little bit. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. I can say I can talk about 40K for forever, but you know what I mean.
Yep. I've just noticed that the other two have been completely silent for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really had anything to add to the conversation, but yeah, no.
But did you have anything that you would want to talk about? Yes, we know about you, Mr. Fork Truck. The only problem is that you don't say anything else.
Yeah.
See? That's all you ever say.
I have nothing like new to toss on the skillet, so I'm okay. I'm cooking. Wait, no, I don't want to be cooking. I'm not cooking. Do I want to be cooking? I don't know.
Are you baking?
I'm baked.
There you go.
He started Eagles Balls.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Yes, I have achieved Eagles Balls status.
I'm definitely going to have some of that when I get home. Let's put it that way.
Kefki,
Yes.
you still here? Did you zonk out? I believe someone was just shot.
Oh, no, it's our
They were
trash
just
compactor.
shot again. They must have still been alive.
Double tap. You guys get to hear all the wonderful industrial noises from my workplace.
Yep. But, Kefki, you still around, or did you zonk out?
I'm still here. Hello. Ma.
Sleepy.
Strained.
You sound completely knackered.
I am.
Is it a good time for us to call it a night and do parting thoughts, or does anyone have anything that they want to launch into?
I'm good with the closing.
Yeah.
Good with parting thoughts? And you are as well, Inquisitor, and Kefki, I think, is halfway into the bed already, so let's go for parting thoughts. we'll start with Kefki. That way she can zonk out a bit earlier.
Thank you. I'll take
Oh.
the wooden nickels.
Don't take any wooden nickels, I think was what was said through that yawn.
Mm-hmm.
Adam?
Well, as much as I love Kefki, she's not allowed to have my wooden nickels. So, we're in an impasse on that one. But I will say, thanks for having me on there, Sanguine. I love hanging out
Always
with you
fun.
on Fridays, and it was a surprise quiz to
Ah,
hear you pop in. So,
And
well,
to hear
I had a meeting. I had a meeting till 11:30, so yeah, it was okay.
and Kefki, you know I love talking with you. You're a doll. I hope you get some sleep though.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm I'm uh I'm about to zonk out myself, so I'm right there.
fair enough. And I'll leave off with my standard. If you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Night.
Bye.
And now it takes a couple moments